大家好，我是 Jenny， 欢迎来到沉思者 J。 今天的故事从一个古老的问题开始。当世界变得太喧嚣，当灵魂找不到安静的角落，音符还能做什么？有一个人给出了他的答案。他的答案只有两个声部，一个声部在地上走，一个声部在天上响，两者之间是沉默，是永恒。这个人叫阿沃帕特，他是爱沙尼亚人，他是20世纪最特别的作曲家之一。他发明了一种叫做铃鐺技法的创作方式，他改变了全世界对旋律与静默的理解。今天我们就来聊聊这位神圣简约主义的大师。1935年9月11日，阿沃帕特出生在爱沙尼亚的帕伊德小城。那一年爱沙尼亚还是一个独立的国家，但5年后苏联就来了。帕特的整个童年和青少年时期都在苏联的统治下度过。他的父母在他幼年时就分开了。帕特跟着母亲搬到了北部的拉克维雷镇。7岁的时候，他开始学钢琴。那架家里的钢琴中间音域坏掉了，但小帕特不在乎，他反而花了很多时间探索键盘的高音和低音。命运有时候就藏在坏掉的键盘里。1954年，帕特高中毕业后来到塔林，进入塔林乐曲学校继续深造。但还没学多久，苏联的兵役召集令就来了。帕特在军队里待了2年，他在军乐队吹双簧管打击乐器。这段军旅生涯没有磨灭他的创作梦想。退伍后，他继续回到学校学习。1957年进入塔林国立学院，师从爱沙尼亚著名作曲家海诺·艾勒尔。1963年正式毕业。毕业前后，帕特一边学习一边创作，也在爱沙尼亚广播电台担任录音师，每天处理各种声音素材。这份工作让他对音响的细节极为敏感。帕特的早期创作充满了实验精神，他尝试了各种20世纪的前卫技法，新古典主义、12音列技法、音块技法、偶然创作法、拼贴技法。在那个年代，苏联的文化政策非常严格，作曲家必须写让大众看得懂听得懂的作品。帕特偏偏不想这样，他写了一首叫做《亡灵颂》的管弦乐作品，那是爱沙尼亚第一首12音列作品。苏联文化当局立刻就不高兴了，批评他走在资本主义的歧途上。但帕特没有停下来，他继续实验，继续创作。1963年的永恒运动，1964年的巴赫主题拼贴曲，这些作品都展现了他对创作语言的强烈好奇。他被誉为苏联前卫音乐的代表人物之一。然而1968年发生了一件大事，帕特写了一首名叫《信仰》的作品，那是一首钢琴合唱和管弦乐的大型作品。整首曲子的歌词就是一句话：我信仰耶稣基督。在苏联公开宣告基督信仰，这几乎等于政治挑衅。首演当晚，音乐厅里掌声雷动，观众被深深感动。但苏联当局勃然大怒，这首作品随即遭到禁演。这个禁令对帕特造成了深刻的打击，他陷入了漫长的创作危机。接下来的8年，他几乎没有写下任何作品。他用来谋生的方式是替电影配乐，那是当时他唯一被允许公开涉足的创作领域。但这段沉默并不是空白。帕特埋头钻研中世纪的圣乐，他仔细研究了格利果圣歌，研究了14到16世纪的复调圣乐，研究了法国巴黎圣母院乐派的创作。他加入了东正教教会，他让灵魂在古老的旋律中浸泡了整整8年。这8年的沉默是一种蜕变，是一条毛毛虫在茧里安静转化的过程。没有人知道里面发生了什么，但大家都看到了出来的那只蝴蝶。1976年，帕特重新现身了。他带来了一首非常短小的钢琴作品，名字叫做《献给艾丽娜》，只有短短几页的乐谱，几个音符，一些静默，就这样。但每一个听过这首作品的人都惊呆了。那种声音不像任何20世纪的作曲家，也不像任何古典时期的大师，那是完全属于帕特自己的声音，纯粹到像一滴清水，安静到像冬日清晨的第一道光。帕特把他新发现的这种创作技法叫做铃鐺技法。 铃铛这个名称来自拉丁文的小铃铛，因为声音让它响起了钟声。那么这个技法究竟是什么？简单说就是两个声部的共存，一个声部叫做旋律声部，它在音阶上自由地爬升或下降，就像一个人在山路上行走；另一个声部叫做铃铛声部，它只奏出一个和弦的3个音，不多也不少，就像一口远处的钟，始终在那里，始终清晰，始终稳定。这两个声部一起发声，就像人世与天堂同时在说话，就像时间与永恒并排而坐。帕特说过一句话，他说我发现了足够我一生使用的东西，就是一个简单的3和弦，还有3个音符。就这样，1977年是帕特的丰收年，他在短短1年内写下了好几首日后成为经典的作品。先是弟兄们，那是一首在不同乐器编制之间反复改写的作品，弦乐版、钢琴版、吉他版一再重生，每一个版本都有自己的呼吸方式，都有自己的情感重心。接着是为本杰明·布里顿而作的颂歌。布里顿是英国作曲大师，他在1976年12月过世。帕特听到消息深受触动，他写下这首哀悼曲献给这位素未谋面的大师。弦乐和一口钟，那口钟在曲子开头轻轻一响，然后弦乐慢慢进入，就像一个人走进教堂，跪下来，沉默的祷告。那口钟的声音从头到尾都在，安静地陪着你。还有白板，那是一首双小提琴和弦乐管弦乐的协奏曲。白板的意思是空白的石板，暗示一种纯净的开始，一种清空过后的状态，一种把过去的一切都抹去之后的清明。1978年，帕特写下了《镜中镜》，那是一首钢琴和小提琴的2重奏。钢琴的音符极其缓慢地在和弦之间移动，小提琴的旋律则像一条细长的光线，在钢琴的和弦之间穿梭，两者相互映照，就像2面镜子面对面，在无限的深度中倒映彼此。这首作品后来被无数的电影和纪录片采用，每一次出现都让人静下来，每一次出现都让人想到某种更深的东西，想到爱，想到失去，想到时间的流逝。然而随着帕特的作品越来越受到欢迎，随着他的作品散发出越来越浓厚的宗教气息，苏联当局的眼神越来越不友善了。1979年，帕特在作曲家协会大会上发言，因此被开除了协会会籍，这等于是被官方创作圈逐出门外。1980年1月，帕特带着妻子诺拉和2个儿子，被迫离开了爱沙尼亚。他先到维也纳，1年后在德国学术交流服务机构的奖学金支持下，移居西柏林。在那里，他将度过接下来将近30年的岁月。流亡并没有让帕特沉默，反而让他写得更多、更自由、更深沉。1982年，他完成了受难曲，那是一首根据约翰福音记载的耶稣受难故事谱成的大型声乐作品。整首作品演奏时间长达1个小时，每一个字每一个音都计算得精准而庄重。帕特用最简单的和声语言，描述了人类历史上最沉重的故事。1984年是帕特走向全球的关键年份。ECM 唱片公司的创办人曼弗雷德·艾彻录制并发行了以白板为题的唱片，那张唱片就像一颗石头投入平静的湖面，涟漪向全世界蔓延。帕特的名字开始出现在世界各地的演奏厅海报上。此后，帕特继续创作了一系列重要作品：1985年的圣母悲悼曲，同年的感恩颂，1989年的怜悯曲，1990年的柏林弥撒，1997年的忏悔祷词，2003年的在太初有道。这些作品都有一个共同的特点，它们都基于宗教或祷告文本，都用最简约的语言说出了最深刻的灵性渴望。2009年，帕特完成了他的第4号交响曲。这首交响曲的副标题是洛杉矶，是为洛杉矶爱乐乐团委托创作的，也是他时隔多年再次回到大型管弦乐作品的尝试。2010年，帕特回到了爱沙尼亚定居。那一年，他的个人创作中心也在塔林附近的劳拉斯玛雅建立起来。 那里保存着他的手稿信件和各种创作资料。2018年新馆落成开放，成为了世界各地的学者和帕特迷的朝圣之地。帕特获得的荣誉数不胜数，他是美国艺术与文学院的荣誉院士，他获得过古典界的 Brit 大奖，获得过瑞典的莱奥尼桑宁奖项，2014年获得日本天皇奖，2017年获得拉辛格奖，2023年获得北极熊创作奖。更让人印象深刻的是一个数字，从2011年到2018年，以及在2022年和2025年，帕特是全球演出次数最多的在世作曲家，超越了无数比他更年轻更知名的同代人。2025年他庆祝90岁生日，全球乐迷用无数场演出为他献上致敬。有人问过帕特他的作品代表了什么，他说他的旋律就像白光，进入不同的棱镜就显现出不同的颜色，那个棱镜就是每一位聆听者的灵魂。这个回答很美，也很准确。帕特的创作之所以能打动不同文化背景、不同信仰的人，正是因为他碰触了某种普世的东西。那不是旋律技巧或和声设计的问题，那是关于如何面对静默，如何在声音与声音之间留出足够的空间，让灵魂呼吸。评论家曾经用各种标签来形容帕特的风格：神圣简约主义、新简约主义、神秘极简主义。但帕特本人对这些标签都不太在意，他只说：我在寻找，我还在寻找。一个人在8年的沉默中能找到什么？帕特找到了2个声部，一个行走，一个冥想。那个冥想改变了世界聆听的方式。让我们再回到最初那首献给艾丽娜，那首让帕特重新诞生的小钢琴作品。没有人知道艾丽娜是谁，帕特自己也没有详细解释过。但这首作品被无数人聆听，被无数人在失眠的夜晚播放，被无数人在思念的午后反复回听。它就是那么简单，几个音符往上走，几个音符往下走。右手的旋律声部如此孤独，左手的铃铛声部如此稳定，两者在沉默里相遇，然后消散。帕特说过，他所做的一切都基于一个简单小小的引导原则，就是一个3和弦，3个音符。从那3个音符出发，他走向了全世界的耳朵。当这个世界太嘈杂，当我们需要一个角落安静呼吸，那就把帕特的旋律打开，让那2个声部说话，一个在地上走，一个在天上响。然后闭上眼睛，让灵魂找到它的空间。我们下次见咯。Hello everyone, I'm Jenny. Welcome to Thinker J. Today our story begins with a very old question. When the world becomes too noisy, when the soul cannot find a quiet corner, what can sound still do? One man gave his answer. His answer had only 2 voices. One voice walking on the ground, one voice ringing in the sky. Between them, silence, eternity. This man is Arvo Part. He is Estonian. He is one of the most singular composers of the 20th century. He invented a compositional technique called tintinnabuli. He changed the way the entire world understands melody and silence. Today we talk about this master of sacred minimalism. September 11, 1935. Arvo Part was born in the small Estonian town of Paide. That year Estonia was still an independent nation. But 5 years later the Soviet Union arrived. Part spent his entire childhood and adolescence under Soviet rule. His parents separated when he was very young. Part moved with his mother to the northern town of Rakvere. At the age of 7 he began studying piano. The family piano had a broken middle register, but young Part did not mind. He spent hours exploring the highest and lowest keys of the keyboard instead. Destiny sometimes hides inside a broken piano. In 1954 Part graduated from secondary school and came to Tallinn. He entered the Tallinn School of Composition for further studies. But before he had gone very far, the Soviet military draft arrived. Part spent 2 years in the army. He played oboe and percussion in the military band. This time in service did not extinguish his creative dream. After discharge he returned to his studies. In 1957 he entered the Tallinn State Conservatory. He studied under the renowned Estonian composer Heino Eller. He graduated officially in 1963. While still a student and in the years immediately after graduation, Part also worked at Estonian radio as a recording engineer. Every day he handled all kinds of sound material. This job made him extraordinarily sensitive to the details of acoustics. Part's early creative output was full of experimental spirit. He tried out virtually every avant-garde technique of the 20th century. Neoclassicism, 12-tone serialism, sonic fields, chance composition, collage technique. In that era, Soviet cultural policy was extremely strict. Composers were expected to write works that ordinary people could understand and appreciate. Part stubbornly refused to follow this prescribed path. He wrote an orchestral work titled Necrologue, which means obituary. It was the first 12-tone composition written in Estonia. Soviet cultural authorities were immediately displeased. They accused him of following a capitalist and decadent path. But Part did not stop. He continued experimenting and composing. Perpetuum mobile in 1963. Collage sur Bach in 1964. These works displayed his intense curiosity about compositional language. He was recognized as one of the leading figures of the Soviet avant-garde. Then in 1968 something momentous happened. Part wrote a large-scale work for piano, mixed chorus, and orchestra. He named it Credo. The entire vocal text of this piece consisted of a single declaration. I believe in Jesus Christ. To openly proclaim Christian faith in the Soviet Union. This was almost equivalent to a political provocation. On the premiere night the concert hall erupted in applause. The audience was deeply moved. But Soviet authorities were furious. The work was immediately banned from further performance. This ban dealt Part a profound blow. He fell into a prolonged creative crisis. Over the next 8 years, he wrote almost no concert works. The way he earned a living was by composing film scores. That was the only creative domain he was officially permitted to engage in publicly. But this silence was not emptiness. Part buried himself in the study of medieval sacred compositions. He carefully studied Gregorian chant. He studied the polyphonic sacred works of the 14th through 16th centuries. He studied the compositions of the Notre Dame School in Paris. He joined the Orthodox Church. He let his soul soak in ancient melodies for 8 full years. These 8 years of silence were a transformation. Like a caterpillar quietly metamorphosing inside its cocoon. Nobody knew what was happening inside. But everyone could see the butterfly that emerged. In 1976, Part emerged again. He brought with him a very short piano piece. He named it Fur Alina. Just a few pages of notation. A handful of notes. Some silence. That was all. But everyone who heard this piece was stunned. That sound resembled no 20th century composer. It resembled no classical era master either. It was a sound entirely belonging to Part alone. Pure as a drop of clear water. Quiet as the first light of a winter morning. Part called his newly discovered compositional technique tintinnabuli. The word comes from the Latin term for a small bell. Because the sound reminded him of bells ringing. So what exactly is this technique? In simple terms, it is the coexistence of 2 voices. One voice is called the melodic voice. It moves freely up and down the scale. Like a person walking along a mountain path. The other voice is called the tintinnabuli voice. It sounds only the 3 notes of a single triad. No more and no less. Like a distant bell. Always present. Always clear. Always steady. These 2 voices sounding together are like earth and heaven speaking simultaneously. Like time and eternity sitting side by side. Part once said something very memorable. He said he had found enough to last him a lifetime. Just one simple triad. And 3 notes. That was all. The year 1977 was a harvest year for Part. Within a single year he wrote several works that would become classics. First came Fratres. This was a work he rewrote repeatedly for different instrumental combinations. String versions, piano versions, guitar versions kept being born anew. Each version had its own way of breathing. Each version had its own emotional center of gravity. Then came Contus in memory of Benjamin Britten. Britten was the great British composer. He passed away in December 1976. Part heard the news and was deeply moved. He wrote this elegy dedicated to a master he had never personally met. String orchestra and a single bell. That bell rings gently at the opening of the piece. Then the strings gradually enter. Like a person walking into a church. Kneeling down. Praying in silence. The sound of that bell is present from beginning to end. Quietly accompanying you. There was also Tabula Rasa. This was a concerto for 2 violins and string orchestra. The title means blank slate. It suggests a kind of pure beginning. A state of being emptied clean. a clarity that comes after erasing everything that came before. In 1978, Part composed Spiegel im Spiegel. The title means mirror in the mirror. It is a duet for piano and violin. The piano notes move with extreme slowness between harmonies. The violin melody moves like a thin thread of light, weaving through the spaces between the piano chords. The two voices mirror each other, like two mirrors facing each other, reflecting in infinite depth. This piece has since been used in countless films and documentaries. Every time it appears, it brings stillness. Every time it appears, it points to something deeper. To love, to loss, to the passing of time. But as Part's works grew increasingly popular, as his compositions radiated an ever stronger spiritual atmosphere, Soviet authorities regarded him with growing hostility. In 1979, Part spoke at a Congress of the Composers Union. Because of his words, he was expelled from the union. This effectively meant being cast out of the official creative world. In January 1980, Part took his wife Nora and their 2 sons, and was forced to leave Estonia. He went first to Vienna. 1 year later, supported by a scholarship from the German Academic Exchange Service, he moved to West Berlin. There he would spend the next nearly 30 years of his life. Exile did not silence Part. It actually made him write more freely, more deeply. In 1982, he completed Passio. This was a large-scale vocal work based on the account of the Passion of Jesus from the Gospel of John. The entire work runs about 1 hour in performance. Every word and every note is calculated with precision and solemnity. Part used the simplest harmonic language to describe the most weighty story in human history. The year 1984 was the turning point that brought Part to a global audience. Manfred Eicher, the founder of ECM Records, recorded and released the album titled Tabula Rasa. That recording was like a stone dropped into a still lake. Ripples spread across the entire world. Part's name began appearing on concert hall posters around the globe. After this, Part continued composing a series of important works. Stabat Mater in 1985, Te Deum in the same year, Miserere in 1989, Berliner Messe in 1990, Canon Pakajanen in 1997, In Principio in 2003. All these works share certain qualities. They are all based on religious or prayer texts. They all use the most minimalist language to express the deepest spiritual longing. In 2009, Part completed his Symphony No. 4. This symphony carries the subtitle Los Angeles. It was commissioned by the Los Angeles Philharmonic. It represented his return to large-scale orchestral writing after many years. In 2010, Part returned to Estonia to live permanently. That same year, his personal creative center was established in Lalasma near Tallinn. It houses his manuscripts, correspondence, and all kinds of creative materials. A new building opened in 2018. It has become a place of pilgrimage for scholars and Part enthusiasts from around the world. The honors Part has received are too numerous to list fully. He is an honorary member of the American Academy of Arts and Letters. He has received classical Brit Awards. He received the Leone Sonning Prize from Sweden. In 2014, he received the Premium Imperiale from Japan. In 2017, he received the Ratzinger Prize. In 2023, he received the Polar Music Prize. Even more impressive is one particular statistic. From 2011 to 2018, and again in 2022 and 2025, Part was the most performed living composer in the world. He surpassed countless younger and more widely promoted contemporaries. In 2025, he celebrated his 90th birthday. Audiences around the globe offered him tribute through countless performances. Someone once asked Part what his work represents. He said his compositions are like white light. When they enter different prisms, they reveal different colors. And the prism is the soul of each listener. That answer is beautiful. It is also accurate. The reason Part's work can move people across different cultures and different beliefs is precisely because it touches something universal. It is not a matter of melodic skill or harmonic design. It is about how to face silence, how to leave enough space between sounds for the soul to breathe. Critics have used various labels to describe Part's style: holy minimalism, new simplicity, mystic minimalism. But Part himself never paid much attention to these labels. He only said, "I am searching. I am still searching. What can a person find in 8 years of silence?" Part found 2 voices. One walking, one ringing. That ringing changed the way the world listens. Let us return to that first piece, Fur Alina. The little piano work that gave birth to Part anew. Nobody knows who Alina was. Part himself never offered a detailed explanation. But this piece has been heard by countless people, played by countless people on sleepless nights, listened to again and again on quiet afternoons full of longing. It is simply that simple. A few notes moving upward, a few notes moving downward. The melodic voice in the right hand sounds so solitary. The tintinnabuli voice in the left hand sounds so steady. The two meet inside the silence, then dissolve. Part once said that everything he does is built upon one small guiding principle. Just a triad. 3 notes. From those 3 notes, he walked toward the ears of the entire world. When the world becomes too loud, when we need a quiet corner to breathe, open one of Part's compositions. Let those 2 voices speak. One walking on the ground, one ringing in the sky. Then close your eyes. Let the soul find its space. See you next time.